As an organization, GCA has always been focused on filling gaps. And there really is no bigger gap in cybersecurity in making sure that the entire effort to support the public good in cyber is funded. The number of organizations that do work that benefits not just them, in fact, primarily not them, but other people is really significant. And the internet is somewhat unique from other infrastructures in that there are so many organizations that do the basic filling of potholes or building of roads when you're talking about the internet. And so as we've all come to depend more on the internet, we need to have ways, we absolutely need to have ways to make sure that those who do that real work are supported, have the means to do so we don't wake up one day and just find out that the internet that we've all come to depend on is not there, or at least is not there the way we always thought it would be. I think my message to the cyber community is this is a problem that affects all of us. And I think the challenge is that, everyone likes to say that cybersecurity is a shared responsibility, right? And that's unquestionably true. But what most people mean when they say cybersecurity is a shared responsibility is it's your responsibility and your responsibility. It's not necessarily mine. We don't have a case where the ultimate responsibility to make sure the infrastructure operates rolls up to one government or on a government by government basis regionally, or even to a small set of private sector actors. So what do we do about that? How do we actually make sure we align capability with responsibility, which we haven't done right now? Those who are responsible for keeping the internet running don't have the authority to do it in a lot of cases and don't have the resources, certainly. Because everybody thinks it's somebody else's responsibility. I hate to get too technical about it, but people throw around the word market failure sometimes, right? The internet's kind of built for market failure. Maintenance of the roads is really the government's responsibility, unless it's a private road. But even if it's a private road, everybody knows who owns that road and who's responsible for it. And there are funding mechanisms to fill potholes and to build new roads. Same for power, right? There are fairly clear responsibilities. And even where there's a distributed responsibility, there's a regulatory overlay and government oversight to make sure it happens. That's just not true in cyber. First off, it's not specific to any one country. It ties everyone together. So even if you said the US government or the European Union has a majority of the interest, well, one, that'd be false. And second, what are they going to do? How are they supposed to keep bearing all of the bills, which they don't yet, but if they tried to, how would they keep bearing all the bills for a global community? There's no one stakeholder who's responsible for making this happen. And by this, I mean the maintenance of the internet the way everyone expects it to be, and particularly the maintenance of cybersecurity. So that's the problem. It's global, it's multi-stakeholder, and it's really both complicated and complex. Well, the risk is you wake up one day and it's not your mother's internet. People think it's bad now, and in some places it is. How many phishing emails do I get a day? I don't know. It's probably in the hundreds. But there are mechanisms. Webmail providers are getting better and better at filtering that. But without the backends that support them, and including the small ISPs, your inbox is now garbage. You can't go to an internet website. The power doesn't work. Your food doesn't come through. And the reason it doesn't is because everybody depends on the internet now. And nobody has the responsibility to make sure it goes forward. We used to say, this is back in the old days, people will take things seriously because people will die, right? But we passed that, People have already died in hospitals and otherwise because of cyber insecurity. And we still haven't solved the problem. Now it's, lots of people will die. We will have a global electronic apocalypse. Those are perhaps a little bit overblown, but the seriousness of the problem can't be overstated. Well, the gathering is to move from idea to action, right? I think there's broad consensus already in the room that this is a significant problem. And we heard from a number of nonprofits about the challenges that they've got and the value that they provide. We heard from governments, we heard from academia. The idea is we come out of this workshop with not a written action plan, but that we have the core of an action plan that we can condense in the next few weeks, move forward on, and then do an update on throughout the year and later in the year, with about a year from now having a set of implemented solutions that people can rely on.